It's Wednesday, November 16th, 2022. You like the glasses with the stuff coming off of them? That looks kind of goofy, doesn't it? Just some old glasses and the brown paint's coming off and showing the silver part through. I just finished unloading my truck. I just got home from the bee supply where I get my jars. And I bought a skid of jars, so that takes me a while to unload. It weighs about 1,000 pounds, and I can't lift it with my tractor, so I have to hand bomb it off onto other pallets. A little tractor, a little tractor's fantastic, but it doesn't lift everything. It only lifts 500 pounds or so. So it's I don't know how cold it is out here. It's probably minus 10, minus 12. Well, it was minus 12 last night, so it's probably warmer than that. But the fan is running part-time, so I know it's cooling off outside, because then it's cooling off inside. This week it's been pretty busy. I haven't been doing updating. Sorry about that. Been visiting stores. And here's something that I know there's a lot of people in other climates that watch these northern beekeepers, and you notice nose is very congested because when you come out in the cold weather, a lot of times you get all congested, and it sounds like you got a plugged nose, and that's only because you do. Let's go in the bee barn. So this has been a busy week. I spent a day, actually, I think it was 2 days, visiting stores, making deliveries. I've been doing a lot of driving, burning a lot of fuel. So get the lights on in here. The camera compensates for the red. My glasses are kind of dark. So, so it's been kind of busy. Still got the little tractor parked in here. It's nice to have them inside. It's not a long-term plan, though. I don't really want to be coming in and out of here a lot this winter. So I have another plan for that. So anyway. Let's just stand here among the bees and chit-chat. Yeah, I guess, that's most of what's been going on. I've been trying to sort things around the yard here. It's always a hassle to now I'm in a warmer building, my nose is running. That's just, that's what happens. It's just a hassle in the winter. You always have to get everything stored in different places, and some stuff can't freeze, so it needs to come indoors. Some stuff, has to be in the sea can because it's nice and clean, and it's pretty bug proof. It's all but rodent proof in there. I don't have any problems that way. That's why I put all my comb in there and assorted like items. But it's not an unlimited space, so it's sure full. And the bee barn's full, of course. I'm sure glad I was able to kind of mash them all together, and I hope that doesn't bite me in the butt, because I've got my honey in here, my tractor in here, got my warming cabinet here. You don't recognize the back of it. It was built out of seconds and garbage, so it doesn't look like much from the back. It looks pretty terrible, but it works real nice. So there's 600 pounds of honey in there. So here's something I'm going to do that you might find interesting. My packer's a bit backed up, which is fine. That he's got his own business to do too. So this load of honey in the cabinet is going to be ready I'd say probably tomorrow. So what I'm going to do is what I don't want to happen is to take the honey out of the cabinet, have it cool, and then in a short period of time granulate, because I want him to cream the honey, so it has to be have gone through that liquefaction process, get all the crystals out, and then he can do the creaming. So what I'm going to do is I'll take that out and then I'll put it in cold storage, so then it'll freeze. And when it freezes, then that kind of throws the granulation process into stasis. I've learned that it's not perfect. It doesn't absolutely stop it, and I would imagine that the colder it is, the slower it is, or the more close to stop it is. But regardless, that's the principle. So I can take that out of there, throw it in cold storage, let it freeze, and then I can do another batch of 600 if I want. It takes me about a week to do 600 pounds. And then I can take him any of that honey at any point, and then after it's frozen, I'll take it to him. He let it sit in his shop for a couple of days. It'll be liquid again, and then he can cream it or pack it liquid or both. So I thought you might find that principle kind of interesting. And you know, that principle goes for even glass jars of honey. You know, well, you put something with water in it in a glass jar in the freezer, it'll explode on you and it'll break the glass. Honey doesn't do that. Doesn't expand like that when it gets cold. So you can take a glass jar of honey, throw it in the freezer, just to keep it, it sounds weird, to keep it liquid. Throw it in the freezer to keep it liquid. But to keep it from granulating is the point. So that's the deal. I think when I'm done recording, I'm going to use my smartphone. I'm going to collect the data from the broodminder sensors that are in here. I forget exactly where they are, actually. This is two of them right here. This is one, and then this is the other one here. So there's two of them, and I don't know. The other two are, I think, just over here somewhere. So it'll just be interesting to see how the temperatures in the colonies look. The sensors are sitting on top of the top bars. It's not my favorite thing, but I had to put a different kind of a case, and I'd like the sensor to be sitting vertical between the top bars, because it kind of gets within the cluster better then, and it gets a better temperature reading. Above the top bars, it gets more temperature reading of what's going on outside because it's right under the cover. It is under that foamy bubble wrap stuff, so there's a little bit of insulation there. It's not too much insulation to that stuff, I'm sure. So you can hear my box fans running here. I run them just to circulate air. And these old box fans, they're kind of the cheap ones. I was buying them, I think, for $40, and they've gone up to $50 now. But there's some of them that are running for 5 years, all winter. They run for 5 months. So 5 years, 5 months. There's some of them that are running for 25 months, over 2 years straight. They're still going. So I had 5 of them, and I think 2 of them didn't start up this year. The motors just get so that they just won't turn anymore. So I actually had to take the front off a couple of them and give them a good spin with my hand to make them go. But once they get going, they're okay. But they just kind of get gummed up in the summer sitting. They don't get used in the summer. So that's what you can hear. Off to Winnipeg tomorrow to a Beekeepers Association meeting. This is the Provincial Association. I'm a director on the board. And this is our first in-person meeting since the C word started. So it'll be nice to see everybody in person. We've been having meetings on Zoom, which has worked out really good. And it's nice because there's some of our directors have to drive a long way. My drive it's an hour drive down there. But I'm closer than a lot of people. I think I'm closer than Ian. I think his drive is farther than that, or it might be very similar for him. So I'll see Ian tomorrow. Be nice to see everybody tomorrow. And so there's that, and then come home again. I'm back into Winnipeg on Friday. I got an appointment I need to go to there, and thankfully, you know, and a lot of times there's something will drive me into Winnipeg, and I have to go for an appointment or a certain day, a certain time. But often I'll have a delivery or two, so that's really great because sell a pail of honey, pay for my gas round trip. You know, not quite. It sure is expensive, man. It's expensive. I don't even want to think how much it costs me. It's costing me 32 cents a kilometer drive down the road in my truck. Wow. Wow. $32 an hour. Let that sink in. How do you make any money that way? Especially when my stores that I deliver to are a lot of rural stores, so it could take me 30 to 60 minutes to drive to a store. So I used to make cold calls to my stores. I'd just take a day and make my rounds and check the shelves just on spec. That pretty much ended, and the stores let me know when they need stock now, and I hate doing it that way. You know, I like to just offer that little extra bit of customer service to go on my own accord to see, or in my Dodge, I don't have an Accord, to see if they, you know, need any stock. Yeah, so I guess, you know, we're kind of caught up. There's not a lot of beekeeping happening. I see Ian's out hunting. I don't go hunting, so I'm not that tough. I don't like the cold. I really hate the cold. Yeah, I live in Canada and I hate the cold. Why do I live in Canada? Well, it's a beautiful country anyway. People are beautiful and the land is beautiful. So I'll leave you with that for today anyway. And I'll try and catch up again before the weekend. And so everybody, have a great day and have fun. It's Thursday, November 17th, 2022. And I'm in my sea can. It's actually one of my favorite buildings. This is a really awesome place to store things. It's quite rodent-proof, bug-proof, weather-proof. It's not heated, of course. And you buy these things and they come ready to use. You spot it in your yard and Bob's your uncle. You're ready to go. The one thing I will say about it when you bring them in is that it's made of very, very heavy metal. The whole box is structural, but the floor is wood. The floor is like a plywood, wooden floor. So when you set it, you shouldn't set it on the ground. Set it up on some railway ties or some blocks or something. Keep it up so that the air moves under it. Keeps the floor dried out, because if you set it on the ground, the floor will eventually rot out. So there's your tip on sea cans. I'm very happy I have this, and that I got it before they went up in price remarkably, because I really could use one or two at least more. But as I alluded to in my video yesterday, I need to do some sorting around in here. So this is not going to be very interesting, but you can see on this side, I'll move the camera a little bit. So I have most of my supers stacked on this side, and I've got a row on this side. I don't like to get this side too far ahead toward the door, because then it gets interferes with access to the door. But I've also only got that much space between there and the door to store other stuff besides supers. So what I'm going to do here today is I've got an empty pallet right here you can't see. So I'm going to get that, well, I'm going to lift that up maybe, but I need to take that away with the tractor at a later date. But what I want to do is I want to take a couple of these stacks, maybe 4 of these stacks. This is what they call a high cube sea can. It's 9'6" high, 9'6", and I can put 10 deeps high in a stack. So it just makes it nice for counting for sure. And so I can take 4 of those, and put them over on this side. And so that gives me more space this way. And I can push things in here with my tractor. I can drive in here with my tractor to retrieve things. Everything goes on a pallet, so that's easy to retrieve stuff when it's that way. I've got some frames here that I actually built these last year, and they're strapped up in packs of 10. So if I kind of just reserve these in case somebody comes and they want to buy a few frames, they can buy those stacks of 10. And yeah, there's a few of these supers, a few of these that I brought in because this is my frame waxing project I brought in. So I'm going to actually relocate some of these because I have a waxed frame pile at the back. So I can probably put one of these stacks back there. Now, why would I bother to move that? It's because these are pretty well sorted. I don't know if you can see this far. You can see this stack here is only this high. Could have 3 more on there. Why that is because they're sorted out by stack. Each stack is kind of the same kind of frame. This stack is brood frames. This stack is honey frames. So in the spring and the summer, when I come in here, say I come in here in May, and I want to make some splits, I can just, boom, go down that stack. And similarly on this side, this will be one kind. And again, I didn't mark them. I have marked them in the past, but I find I don't need to, because all I need to do is pull down the top one, see what that is. And then if that's a honey box, I know these are honey boxes because they're painted. Generally, I put my brood frames in wax dip boxes like this. So these 2 stacks, so these 2 20 boxes will be honey frames, and quite likely the next stack will be brood frames. So I can selectively pull those out without having to sort boxes and frames on the go. I have a little bit of stuff to pick up here, move out of the way, and then I can start moving these wax frames to the back. I'm gonna stand this since the pallet I had my honey jars on that pallet, and I've used up my honey jars. The ones that were on that pallet. I just picked up another pallet of honey jars yesterday. So I'm going to temporarily move this spare cardboard. It's only in here so it doesn't blow away. And I find the cardboard pieces useful to cover product that might be stored. Doesn't want to sit there. Just so it doesn't get dirty and dusty, and you know, if it's in the bee barn, the bees poop on everything. Okay, there's a there's a poly hive that got left in here. So now it's going to haunt me all winter. It's going to be a pain in my backside all winter. Because there's not much room to maneuver in here. So you end up moving that kind of stuff around a lot. This is an ice scraper. It's wax gets stuck to this floor, and I don't like that. And then I've got a broom just for sweeping out the miscellaneous. I like to keep it clean in here, clean as I can. When I bring things in here with the tractor, it always tracks in little stones on the wheels. So this is not going to be very interesting for either one of us. I got nothing else though. So I didn't mention it's -6 outside. It's been snowing for about a day. And there's a good north wind out there, so it's not a nice day to be outside. But it's not real cold in here, and not windy, of course. People will often say, you know, they look at some of the extreme weather we get, extreme cold, -40, stuff like that. Many feet of snow. Why do you live here? There are a few good things about it. I mean, about the fact that it gets so cold. And I guess snow too. If you're into snow sports, I'm not really into that. But the cold, you got a facility like this, you got a little bit of wax moth problem. You stick those suckers in here for the winter and you don't have a wax moth problem anymore. I mean, it doesn't reverse damage, but if there's any wax moths, if there's any larvae, they're done. It doesn't take real cold weather to freeze them. So that's one thing about this area. We've got very distinct seasons. There's, you know, winter. Winter is not like summer at all. In no way is winter like summer here. Try not to get sticky on my clothes. Keep them off of my jacket. I think I can get this whole stack back there. It's going to be a perfect stack of 10 when I'm done. Oh, it's nice. Okay, last one. That top one, you know, that top one is a stretch. If I wasn't 6'4", I might have a problem with that. I can barely reach the handle. Put these over here. I learned my lesson the hard way first year when I make stacks like this. You can make them tight, but don't make them super tight because you try and pull them out and it's really difficult. They kind of overlap sometimes and interlock. What I'm trying to accomplish here is I'm trying to clean out the wood shop. If I can get enough stuff out of here, I can put my skids of packed honey in here or other stuff, you know, things that I don't need in the wood shop. Not very exciting watching me move boxes around, but that's what beekeeping's about. Picking things up and putting things down. Had I known. I run 9 frames in my honey supers as a rule, but as I extract, all of the boxes that come out of the honey house all have 10 frames because I don't have enough space in here to store everything if they have 9. It's 10% less space, right? So the rest of the boxes just get stored outside. See, that one's a bit of a stretch up top there. Okay. I think those were honey frames. And I believe this next stack looks like brood frames. And I didn't take this one yet, just because it's a narrow space with the skid here. I'll take this one, and then it'll be easier to grab that other stack of honey frames. Should have done this in the first place. There's always lots of logistics, you know. Can't do this because this thing, and you can't move that because of this situation. Yeah, just on and on. I always think if I just had more storage, but who am I kidding? I'd fill it with crap and I wouldn't have any storage. So I have to work without enough storage and get creative. It's too narrow to carry them the way you normally would. That's the biggest problem with a sea can, is they're long and skinny, and you end up, you either can't get at the stuff in the back or you forfeit a lot of storage space with an aisleway, and then you still end up hand bombing half your stuff. Like this is all hand bombed in here. On pallets it'd be nice to come and pick it up with the tractor on pallets. I put pallets in here my first year, and that was a nightmare because I kept trying to walk half on and half off pallets, and it just wasn't worth it, and it didn't do me any good. It didn't do me any good at all. See, just grab it by the corners like that. Push it up. You gotta balance it though, it'll hit you in the face if you don't. Enough space for these 2 more stacks. Same thing here. Pull it off the top. Be ready. Hit you in the head. Ask me how I know that. Give me another 3 feet of space. That'll be nice. Oh, so I mentioned yesterday that I had to go to Winnipeg for a meeting. Well, you know, this, I don't want to say the name, but this problem we had over the last couple of years where we couldn't get together, there's certain positives to it. And there's people in Manitoba die on the highways nearly every day, especially in the winter, for different reasons, and a lot of it's road conditions related. So it's always hazardous to head out on the highway looking for adventure. So the association called off the in-person meeting today, and we had our Zoom meeting just like we've been doing for the last couple of years at home. So I didn't have to go anywhere. I was looking forward to seeing everybody, almost for the first time in a couple of years for some of them. but it was nice to not have to go out in a storm. There's vehicles in the ditch everywhere, lots of collisions this morning, quite a bit of snow. And when it snows, when we get snow like this and it's not terribly cold, especially early in the season, the roads get really icy because it falls and then it kind of gets close to the melting point and traffic goes over it and it kind of turns into ice. And you get a lot of what people call black ice, and that's where you end up with big trouble. So we didn't have to go out today, and I'm thankful for that. Yeah, so that's why I'm home. I did some business. I did some book work. I talked to a colleague on the phone for a while. It's always nice to talk to him. And we had our meeting. And I can still come out here and get something done. I'm really happy to get this issue worked on because I need my wood shop. It's always an annual problem to reclaim the wood shop after a busy summer. Not only I need my wood shop, but I need that space. Because, as I talked about in another previous video, my old truck, I've decided to keep my old truck. So I'm going to be having to do some repairs periodically. And there's a few things need to be addressed right now. So I need to make space because I can't do that outdoors. You can, but you get awful cold. But the things I need to do, I can't do outdoors. There's certain, one of the things, vehicles today, there's a lot of plastic pieces. And you start trying to take things apart in the cold. If they're plastic, everything just breaks in little chunks. And that's not my objective. My objective is to make things better, not worse. The wind is really blowing out there. I was walking with the wind on the way here. Yeah, I walked over here. I'm going to be walking against it on the way back. It's not going to be any fun at all. Might have to put my hood up and walk backwards. So, again, things you can't see. I said this -6. That wind, it's a lot colder out there. At least it feels a lot colder. But of course, it's -6 in here. And this jacket it's a pretty good jacket. But I'm actually sweating in this jacket. And you don't want to sweat. See, this is another issue with this kind of weather, is you got to dress light enough that you don't fully warm up. You don't want to sweat. You don't want to get that warm. You sweat, you start to get wet, and then you get cold, and there's no recovering from that. Fortunately, I'm close to the house. So if I do start getting cold, I can warm up there. And then cold, I don't mean, oh, it's a bit chilly. I mean cold. I mean, dangerously cold. Hypothermia, that kind of stuff. That's cold. Okay, one more stack. Broodcomb makes me happy, That's just money right there for splits and bringing hives alive. Honeycomb's all pretty and everything, but I can make honeycomb. You put foundation on a flow and they'll make honeycomb. A new person might be wondering, why am I making distinction between broodcomb and honeycomb? Are they different? Not really. honeycomb is just newer, cleaner, meaning it hasn't had brood in it, so it doesn't have the cocoons and the staining. But you know, if I run out of brood comb and I need more, then that's when I start dipping into the honeycomb. But I don't like to go the other way. It's nice to use the nice light honeycomb for the honey supers. Use the brood comb for brood chambers, and splits, nucs, and whatnot. And if you're making splits, if you're selling nucs, Bob Binney talks about this a lot. He talks a lot about having very fresh frames in his hives a lot, and he does. We watch his videos. It's quite remarkable how new and fresh the vast majority of his frames are. If you're making nucs and splits, if you're selling specifically, then you're losing that many frames with every nuc you sell. So then you got to put those new frames in. You need to build new frames in the winter for what you need to replenish for your nucs. What does that look like? Well, in my operation, I put 148 colonies, and that's full hives and nucs together. There's probably about a third of those are nucs, but that won't matter. Come spring, that won't matter. And I'm planning to make about 100 nucs in the spring, 5-frame nucs. So that math is really easy. That's 100 nucs and 5 frames per is 500 frames. Okay, so what does 500 frames look like? I've been picking off of this pallet already, but if it was full, there's 200 on this pallet, and there's 200 on that one. So I'll need, more than that many, 2.5 pallets that look like this, just to replace the frames that I sell in my nucs. That definitely comes off the bottom line for the nucs. You have to sell the nucs for X number of dollars, and then you have to put some of those dollars into new frames. And drawing those new frames definitely is going to cost you a little bit of money in honey production, so you got to factor that. If you're looking for a cost comparison, cost benefit analysis. So yeah, there's definitely expenses in that. It's not just all gravy. Okay, I'll keep going. I can't stand still too long. My body locks up and I can't move. I find it far easier if I'm just moving. Woodshop season really hurts my body bad, I've found. Because production work, I'm standing in one spot for long periods of time. And I lose track of time, so I don't remember that I've been standing in this one spot for half an hour. I should just take a little walk. I'm just kind of stupid that way. Well, I just don't pay attention. I need to set myself an alarm or something. Okay, if I'm moving. Yeah, this is going to free up a nice bit of space for me. All right, one more. Okay. This is a partial box of something. Honey frames, I think. I could likely stand to put my supers all the way across, because I don't need these until next summer. you know, because I could get more than 4 stacks across, 4 or 5 stacks across, depending how I put them. If I put them the other way, I could probably get 6. As it stands, I've got my pails back there, so I need to keep bringing pails in here all winter. You know, there's different ways to do it. I could put the pails this side of the supers, and then I'd have to move the pails again when it's summer. But that's the way I'm doing it. It, you know, gives me enough space. There's other stuff here too along the side, just some of my equipment. You know, clean excluders, B escapes, that sort of thing. I'm kind of bushed. Okay, so now I can come and get this extraneous stuff. I want to wait for a little nicer day. This is light material, so it has to be not windy. And then I'm going to bring in some more things. I want to make sure I put them in the right order. So things I'm not going to need, put it in the back. Things I'm going to need, put it in the front here. So there's always a lot of figuring out. And these doesn't really matter where these go, to be honest, because I likely will never this winter need to take this whole skid of frames. If I need at this, it'll be a few of these little bundles. So I just come in here, you know, worst case, if somebody wants 50 frames or something, I'll bring my truck here and just carry them out by hand. So that can go anywhere. And but some of this stuff you can't see. There's a skid of frames here. It's a skid that I'm selling to a friend, but they're not ready to take delivery. I wish they were, because storing things in the winter is really hard. So, but I think we can get delivery on that in the next 30 days, which would be really great. And then, you know, pack the rest of it full. I've got a few skids of packed honey I want to bring in here, and again, you know, doing packed honey is great because it just freezes solid and it's easy. It's there. It's in stasis. It's not going to change. So that's another good thing about the cold weather. All right, I'm not sure how interesting this is to you, but that's what's going on today. I promised to do a vlog about what I was doing, and this is what I'm doing. Now I have to go and sort out the wood shop, and I don't know if I can get packed honey over here today or not. Still snowing a little bit. I have to take this stuff outside to sort things around. That's why I don't want to set this out in the snow for any period of time. What I'll do is I'll put all these pieces over in the aisleway. Then when I come with the tractor, it'll be a little easier. All right, so I'll head back to the wood shop and see what I can do there. Make a little progress today. I was right. That was a cold walk back. I'm in a warm wood shop now. And the joys about wearing glasses, you come in and they fog up. It's not so bad in a building like this. It's not as humid in here as it is in the house, but you go in the house, you can't see anything for a few minutes. So yeah, all my packed honey is along here. There's not as much of it as I'd like there to be, but I still need a place to put it and keep it organized. So that's all I'm going to do is just kind of clean up here and get this together and ready to go out. I can't take it out quite yet. I have to wait for nicer weather to pull some things out of there. Can't do it in the wind and the snow. So who knows, maybe tomorrow. Tomorrow's another day. Maybe not tomorrow. We go to Winnipeg again for some deliveries. I have an appointment there. So I have a couple of deliveries to make at the same time. So that's really great to offset the costs of driving into the big city. They call it the big city because it is the big city in Manitoba. Okay, I'm going to leave you with that. Probably a pretty boring day for you to watch, but that's what I'm doing, and that's where I'm going to leave it. Thanks for watching. Have a great day and have fun. It's Friday, November 18th, 2022. And this is the end of the day. You can see the windows here. It's dark, which doesn't mean it's that late in Canada in the winter, but it's dark. Today, not too much exciting, thankfully, because I drove into Winnipeg again. Went to my packer again, did some deliveries, picked up some things. I had to go to the dentist, so, you know, I had to go in anyway, so I did some other work as well. Dentist thing worked out okay, didn't cost me too much. And that is not part of Canadian healthcare, by the way, if you're thinking that. That's nothing to do with healthcare. Yeah, not too much exciting there. So the weekend, I hope to tackle this again. This packed honey, made some progress in the sea can. Have to, get some things out of there and sort them around, get some of this honey in there. However, I can't do that I don't want to do it if it's snowing, and I can't do it when it's really windy. And it's 30-kilometer-an-hour winds out right now, out of about the north. It's about -7 C, and it feels like -15 C. So it's really not a nice day right now. It's been breezy all day and kind of snowing all day. It snowed most of the time while I was in Winnipeg. Not heavy snow, but just that light stuff that makes the roads real slippery. And they were really slippery. My little truck did good, but it was, it was scratching for traction a lot today. So yeah, not much of a video this week. I'm sorry, just that kind of stuff going on. Hopefully woodshop will kick into, gear here pretty soon. It's likely going to take me most of another week to get this mess cleared away. And I do have some work on the truck to do as soon as I can free up this space right here. Well, job one is the wife's, and I'll call her the wife. My wife's car comes in here, gets winter tires and an oil change. So that shouldn't be too bad. And then the truck comes in, gets a little bit of work. I have to put a window regulator in it. Something else broke today. I got to address that. So I'll cover that kind of stuff. I think there's some people interested in the repairs on the truck and stuff. So I'll kind of make little videos about that. I'm not a how-to mechanic kind of guy. I'm not a how-to about anything. This is just what I'm doing. I guess I kind of did a how-to on frame waxing, but really it just is what I'm doing. Anyway, I'm rambling. I've got nothing else to tell you. Except, I got to get this cleared away. I've been getting honey orders like crazy lately. Especially, you see right here, these are liquid pour pails. They're granulated, but I warmed them up. And so these are cream pails. And so these are 5 kilogram pails. So I've got quite a few, but creamed 5 kgs. But I got an order, actually 3 orders. I delivered 2 orders today. And I got another order I have to fill for 5 kilogram liquid pails. And I didn't have enough. I had to pick up a few at the packer to fulfill that order next week. So that's really good news. That's I need some sales to pay for fixing my truck. That's really what's on the docket. I've got a little thing I need to do to the big truck as well. So once I get the little truck in here addressed, the big truck I don't use much in the winter, so it's okay to sit, and it's drivable. It's not something that keeps it off the road. But when I have time, then I'll address the big truck again. It's pretty good. It's got a couple of things that need to be addressed. But that's old vehicles, right? These things are 20 and 25 years old. I got a few miles on that. Big truck has a lot of miles on it. That truck has 250,000 miles on it. Miles. I bought that truck out of Phoenix, Arizona. So it's a U.S. Speedometer truck, an odometer, so it's in miles. Little truck doesn't have as many. It's only 210,000 kilometers, so you can do that in miles, probably about 125,000 miles. It's been a victim of Canadian rusting away, though. Lots of salt and stuff on the roads here, so really takes a toll. But wood shop needs to be cleaned up. Table saw is a mess still. Things have to be put away, moved out. I got a plan though. I've got a plan to have a lot more space in here than last year, because last year was a huge challenge with a big order. And I've got another big order exactly like last year, plus I have a few more things I need to do. Some stuff for myself and some additional orders. So I got to get on it. Got to get on it. And make all this stuff up for customers. Anyway, that's just chit chat, and I got nothing else. This has been a busy week, but just driving around, delivering, going to the Packer, had some appointments and things, and I've been wearing my glasses. I'm going to explain that in a while. It might not be for 2 or 3 months, but I'll explain that at some point. So I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to put this together and see that you get it in your morning for your Saturday morning coffee. But it's not going to be very interesting. So I apologize for that. But have a really great weekend. And hopefully I have something a little more interesting to show you next week. And above all, have fun.